Hello and welcome back to Fearful Harmony. Today with our first ever VTuber guest, content creator, streamer, horror enthusiast, green guy, sometimes blue, we have Thafnine. Woo!
Hey, yeah,
how's it going?
Me, the first
I got him
VTuber,
right here.
yes. The first, and the plushie as well. He's got my son. No, don't do it. No.
10,000 gifted.
10,000 gifted.
Wait, he goes
20,000. Take it or leave it.
He goes in the dark.
Yeah, he goes,
okay, he lives.
he goes in the dark. Exactly. I make sure my plushies have really good features. Okay.
I'll be laying in bed sometimes. I'll just like look at the top of my shelf and I'll barely see the glow like from his face, like lingering in the dark.
I literally had a friend that happened to a friend of mine. Like it was my model maker, Pokecat, and what happened was that she said she turned around in bed and it's pitch black, and she got. And the plushie is glowing in the dark, staring directly at her. She literally said she had a big heart attack. And I was like, yeah, that's gonna happen.
You see, like, or hear the Five Nights at Freddy's, like, dun, 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 dun.
Imagine how scary that must be, like, if it flickers and everything. Like, if it was, I was considering, I don't know whether Makeshift would have been able to do it, but imagine if Makeshift allowed stuff like LEDs and then just had flickering lights.
Yeah.
That would actually be
so
pretty
good.
crazy.
One of the ideas I wanted to like do, I don't think it's like possible. You know, like those holographic like material, like you look from one side,
Yes,
looks like one thing.
yes.
For the eyes and stuff, that would be really cool.
I'm pretty sure my new plushie has a holographic sticker, so I think Makeshift could definitely do it, but it will definitely need, it will need some time in the oven for sure.
Let's start off with a pretty basic question. I'm sure you've gotten this before in the past, but like with your current, I guess, persona online is like Thafnine. What kind of started that off?
In terms of like, what you mean, like my OC, or
like
do you mean just in general, like
the
the
Thafnine,
name?
like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that
well,
is
not the
probably,
name specifically, but like your brand, what you do now.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
That is okay. So in terms of what I do now, it's like I get that asked the question all the time, and the main thing is just I've always kind of been interested in like scary stuff because I was the kind of person that would browse on like creepy websites that I probably shouldn't have done, especially when I was younger. Like I remember back in 2011, 2012, there was that website for a game called Hotel 626. I talked about it in an old video, but basically the way the website is that it was essentially like at dead of night, where it was a FMV, pretty much. It was like, at first I thought it was realistic graphics and everything. I was like, oh my God, this is so futuristic. And then I realized it actually was filmed with an actual camera and everything. And the way it worked was that on the sign-in page, even on the page itself, it had some creepy like Easter eggs if you stayed on the page for too long. And I remember initially watching the PewDiePie video of it, and I was like, this looks interesting. I'm gonna try it myself. And it turns out that website, what it did after you finished the game is that you had to sign in with like your phone number and everything, and afterwards it calls your phone.
Oh my God.
And it calls your phone with like a creepy voice and everything. And I think since that, I think that was probably the biggest turning point in terms of me being interested in horror, because I always kind of was. Like I always was interested in scary stuff. Like even back then, it was like going on YouTube to watch stuff that you shouldn't be watching, like Happy Tree Friends. It's like, you look at that and you're like, should I be watching this? Should I? I'm not too sure, but I still watched it anyway. And what ended up happening was that I'd be going onto these websites. I'd be going on Flash Games websites that have scary stuff like The House.
Yes.
Yeah, The House 2, Ex Mortis, those kind of games. I remember playing those, especially on school computers. I think the biggest thing was when I was at school, the biggest, apart from Flash Games, the biggest rage was horror games, especially because I think Slender, the 8 pages just released, and SCP had already been a thing for a while. So what ends up happening was that I'd be at the school computers, and everyone would be crowded around one school computer playing Slender, the 8 pages. And when they see Slender, everyone in the class will be like, "Ah! Ah! Oh my God!" And then the teacher will shout at us all and tell us to be quiet. And it kind of just went from there. It kind of just ballooned from just browsing YouTube and watching like old Markiplier videos, old KSI videos, old PewDiePie videos. It went from that to just, I would be like, wait, I can make videos about that as well. So then it started with my, I think in 2017, it started with the childhood trauma video that I made, just about, you know, general stuff that I used to watch when I was younger, like the Pingu episode with the walrus that freaked the fuck out of anyone that watched it. Like that specific one, I think that was pulled from broadcast because people were like, This is creepy. Yeah, no. I think initially on release, the episode with the walrus, or was it the seal? Anyway, it was like
it was a walrus.
It was really weird looking, and people they didn't really broadcast it again just because of how weird and creepy it looked. It was like the lion episode from Teletubbies. So I talked about that. Then I talked about like Hotel 626 in the video. Then it kind of ballooned from there, because that very same year that I dropped that video, I think while I was editing that video in early October, DDLC had just released. And DDLC was like something that I saw Indie Mouse play, and I was like, this looks interesting. I'm gonna try it. And then ended up making a video about DDLC back in December, right before it blew up. And then it kind of just was a snowball effect from there. I was like, making horror content really fun. I should keep doing that. So then it just kept ballooning from there, because back then I used to just be consuming the content. I didn't really make content surrounding it until like when I was 16 or 17. And then it just went from there. It was that's how it started.
I know the DDLC videos, how I ended up following you, and I like think
people.
about it a lot because I had it downloaded on my computer, because I'm sure you remember what happened with that video. It got like taken down like 30 times or something. Is my mic pointed the wrong way? My editors are gonna love that.
Your microphone facing the right way.
This is like 4 or 5 year old AT2020 USB plus, baby. I'm sorry.
I've still got the AT2020 on my other desk.
It's
but yeah,
good.
It's a good microphone. I think I had a Rode NT to begin with, but yeah. So with the DDLC video, what ended up happening was it was a big controversy about it. So after Logan Paul decided he wanted to spend his January, I think it was January.
Took a nice vacation to Japan.
Yeah, took a nice vacation in Japan and went to a forest that is known for specific things that YouTube will probably demonetize this entire thing for. And he decided, you know what? In 4K, let me film it. And everyone on YouTube was like, that's no. And then he made it. He claimed he made this severe and continuous lapse in his judgment. Yada yada yada.
As we all do.
Yeah, since that incident, YouTube were like, we gotta take this really, really seriously. So anything and everything that is to do with that specific topic got like completely eviscerated from YouTube. And my DDLC video was one of the most popular videos that wasn't a gameplay video about like DDLC, because obviously you had Markiplier's playthrough, you had Game Grumps' playthrough, you had quite a lot of people playing through the game after it blew up and people making memes about it. But my video was like, at the time, was one of the few video essays, I guess, about the game. So because of that, what ended up happening was YouTube, at first, YouTube, I believe, age restricted the video. And I was like, that's not right. I was mainly calling YouTube out because I was like, wait, why is my video hit? But you've got Markiplier's video still not age restricted, the Game Grumps playthrough, all these other videos haven't been hit, but my one got hit. So I fought it. I went to the YouTube Creator Studio and I was like, I'm gonna fight this. This is like, I literally outlined a reason, and I even mentioned those videos. I know it makes me look like a big snitch for doing that, but like I literally outlined these. Like I felt like such like the kind of person in class where it's like, teacher, the homework. What about the homework? I literally was like, went to YouTube and went like, this video is an analysis and it's a retrospective and a plot summary of DDLC. I don't focus too much on the scene in question. It's only one major scene in the game. I mean, technically two, but I didn't really, I tried not to linger too much on them, except from showing them once. But the point is that I basically made a big point about it, just being like, oh yeah, this happened, that happened with the game, and all these playthroughs and Let's Play channels still have their videos up with no age restriction, so why is mine hit? YouTube were like, duly noted. And ignored. In fact, they even one-upped it by just taking the video down and giving me a community guideline strike. Luckily it's resolved. Yeah, I got a community guideline strike. And at the time, I was with my former network, and back then we had contacts at YouTube. So we then spent about 6 to 8 months trying to bring the video back. And what ended up happening was that I'm a data hoarder. I think I've said this many times. When I'm editing my videos, I don't delete anything. Like, I still have stuff on my hard drive from 2011, 2010, like when I first got the computer. So luckily, I still had the raw file of the video, so I didn't have to go look for it. I had the raw file of the video, the original thumbnail, and I even had a notepad with the metadata of the video. So I was like, I decided to give the drive link to anyone and said, you guys can re-upload it. And
I think I remember that.
YouTube kept taking down every single re-upload. Like, people would get the, people would have the video up because it's the original file. They have the video up and then YouTube would take it down. The only one that survived was someone who had the foresight to edit like a small disclaimer at the start of the video. Like, the only thing that differentiated it was that they added like a slide that lasts 5 seconds just being like, warning, this is a re-upload. And YouTube were like, yeah, that's fine. They literally like, yeah, that's okay. They didn't even age restrict that video or even like community guideline strike it. Like, I had to add that video to my main channel playlist of like bingeable content. And I didn't realize how much people missed that video because the re-upload got to like 30 to 40K views and it's a re-upload on another channel entirely that has like less than 100 subs and it had 40K views on a playlist and it was an old video and I was like, wow, people really missed that DDLC video, huh? So yeah, 9 months later, I finally got the video back, but it was on a hard age restriction. Like, anything about this topic would get age restricted because I remember YMS had an unfriended review and part 1 of the unfriended review is completely age restricted. Like, you have to even, I think in the UK, you need to provide your ID to watch the video.
Really?
Yeah, YouTube. So I think in in some EU countries, the age restricted videos require you to put your ID up. Like, you have to give either you have to prove your age. Like, Google asked you for your ID. They said, we won't keep it. We promise we won't keep it, but we need your ID to prove that you are that age, and then we can let you watch the video. And the way I found this out was that I was trying to watch a clip from The Thing. And it was age restricted and they asked for an ID. And I was like, what?
It's so, like, I don't like making the British jokes. I mean, like, I just like, they kind of run their course. But man, if that's not like the most British thing, it's like,
yeah, it's like,
oh, let's see.
Do you have a license for that one? Like, oh, do you have an ID to watch it? I don't think it's just the UK though. I think it's something that's in the EU. I don't know whether EU viewers can like back me up on it. But I know in the UK, they definitely had this feature and they were like, oh yeah, we need your ID or your card details. And I'm like, why'd you want that, huh? Why'd you want that? But yeah, that's basically like, it was like a 9-month saga dealing with my DDLC video. And that was like the first and only time I've had to deal with YouTube shenanigans with demonetizing a video. Like, I try and keep my stuff squeaky clean. I don't think I've ever had a video demonetized.
Knock on wood after saying that.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, when I get a video demonetized, I'm like, it has to be deleted.
Yeah.
I have to keep my 100% streak.
Whenever, because I mean with the stuff we do especially, like, there's always like, I need to be, maybe I'm a little too like, I don't know, what's the word, frugal,
lax.
A little too, not lax, on the other end, strict with like what I censor and don't include. Like, anytime there's a certain thing that Sayori may use, I censor it. I don't care how it looks. I've had MS Paint games I've talked about with like the shittiest looking drawing of all time, and I'm like, all right, yeah, censor that.
Yeah, I literally did that with the so I did that with the on my FNAF main channel video. I did it with the scene from Sister Location when on the final night when you turn on the lights and everything.
Shadow.
The thing is that I specifically I wanted to include it, but I thought it would be funnier because the joke was the DDLC reference. Like, I even had the UI and everything, and I was like, yeah, you know what, it will be funnier. Like, I've always never really liked the self-censoring going on YouTube. Like, when people like change, like, TikTokify the words, I never liked that. Like, I never liked it because it's like, I'm not 3 years old. Why would you want to make, like, sometimes you got to own it and make the content for the audience you want to make it. Because why the hell would I be making a video about like, oh yeah, this serial killer like brutally murdered a family of 10, and then you're like,
they game ended them.
They game ended them, and you're like, why would a 3-year-old or like a 7-year-old want to watch a video about that?
And there's more respectful ways to avoid like saying the direct words too. Like, just saying like someone like passed away or something is infinitely better.
Exactly.
Like, they like alt F4'd or something. Like, dude,
I've
heard that before. I've heard that before.
I've heard that one as well. I've heard that. I've heard the quit without saving. Like, oh, like they quit life without saving. I'm like,
me when I'm talking about the single mother of 5 who got brutally murdered 10 years ago. She alt F4'd in the middle of Arizona.
She pressed the power button on the PC. She unplugged herself.
She task managered herself.
The thing is, it would be funny if it was like a gag in a video, but it's the fact that like people play that stuff completely straight. Like if it was a comedic bit in a video where like you increasingly write stupider ways to like censor yourself, where it's just like you go from like game ended and then you go to like unalived and then you go to things like you go something really stupid. Like you go to really stupid levels where it's like she decided to take a one-way trip to what she thought was paradise, but it wasn't. It turned out to be something entirely different. I'm like, if it gets increasingly dumb like that, it would work. But it's when like it's genuine true crime channels that will be like, it's really weird. Like these true crime channels that have popped up recently. It's like my parents watched a lot of Investigation Discovery, which is basically like the crime and investigation channel that Discovery made. And it's so weird seeing people make YouTube videos about like really real events that have happened, and then they're just doing that while like eating food. Did you ever find that so weird? Like when people will be like, let me have a 5-star gourmet meal while I talk about like one girl that got kidnapped at the age of 7, and it's like they'll be like, yeah, well, this is some really nice chicken wings. So anyway, about this girl that got kidnapped, yeah, she had to like eat the remains of her parents. Like, yeah, it's really
Someone made a video on this recently, didn't they? Because that's where I think I heard about this at first. I can't remember exactly who it was, but do you know what I'm talking about?
Neither can I. I know what you're talking about. It's like I tend to not watch like videos in general, and so like you'll be surprised. I'm a YouTube. I don't watch many videos.
Dude,
but
that's
like
all I watch is YouTube.
Yeah, no, but yeah. When I make content, it's like a lot of the times is I don't tend to watch content unless it's like a selection of 4 YouTubers that I've watched since I was young, and that's literally it. The main reason why is that like on another topic entirely, it's like I've had issues with video essays as a genre for a very long time, and I feel like I'd probably I feel like with the content that I make, it's like I don't want to be copying my peers as much as anything. Like if I'm watching I had a stint about 2 of my videos that I'm not proud of, because you can tell I watched a lot of a specific YouTuber before I made that video, because a lot of the humor is very similar, and I hate that a lot.
You know what I remembered while prepping for this episode that I really was like, oh god. So I mean, it's also like I'm a fan of your content, right? I was and like 5 years ago I made a video. I can't remember what it was on. It was either on EXE games or like creepypasta stuff. It was back before I did it like consistently. Like when I did it was like a Halloween thing, and I directly took one of your jokes from your videos and literally put in captions like, I know Thafnine did that, and dude, completely blocked it out of my memory, and then I rewatched it for that because I was like, it's just like look through it. I feel like I remember like referencing him or something. I see that, I'm just like, but yeah, no, that's how I was with for the longest time, especially when I started with Scott the Woz, because I was a huge Scott the Woz fan.
A lot of people are gonna say Scott the Woz. Yeah,
subconsciously, like I kind of like, he was my inspiration at first for when I want to start doing stuff, and it kind of grew away from that. But I was stuck until like the past year when I actually started like gaining a platform and audience and stuff. Yeah, all my comments were Scott clone. I was like, dude, and it honestly, like, I mean, nowadays I just like his content's good, but it's not really something I enjoy to watch as much anymore.
I feel like that's it's the thing with like Scott's videos, and even then,
because I didn't want to compare.
When you stop watching it and then you start doing your own thing, like I had people comparing my some of my videos to like old KSI videos and like Kadikarus videos, and I'm like, I think the craziest one was I think with Caddy videos, I think it's mainly just the kind of like fast-paced editing and jokes per second kind of thing on really long videos, because I think the craziest moment was when Caddy straight up shouted me out and said, how have I never discovered this YouTuber before? I love his videos. And I was like, what? I love your videos. Like, no, it should be the other way around.
Surreal. I went to a convention over the summer and Ant Dude knew who I was, and I was like, excuse me? Because for some reason, I don't know, do you watch Ant Dude at all?
Yeah, I do.
don't know if you-
I watch
So,
Undude. I watch Undude.
I get comments every single day at this point saying I sound like him, and I just don't hear it. Like maybe a little bit of like the mannerisms and how we talk, just like a little bit.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
I ran into him at the convention. And I was like, "Hey, like that's nice to meet you." I'm like, "People say we sound like alike. Do you hear it?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Thank you." I make a tweet about it. I'm like, "All right." I got him himself to deconfirm, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I get comments like that too." I'm like, I'm sorry. You're getting comments saying that you sound like me? No. That's not how that works.
Like,
You
that's
don't
not
know
how
who
it
I
works.
am.
It's the other. It's a one-way street. It's one way. It's crazy. I get that a lot of comments saying I sound like KSI or Deji, and I'm like, is it because I'm black? That's
British.
99% of the time I'm just like, is it because I'm black and British? Because I can get Deji, I can get his impression down to a T. But with JJ, I'm like, really? Like I think a lot of the time is because of like my mannerism, like my mannerisms when I'm making my older videos. I used to have a lot of vocal inflections like KSI because it's black, British, and also the pronunciations and stuff. We're the same nationality, so it makes sense. But then at the same time, I'm like, I don't see it. I never saw it, but I think I dispelled the rumors when I literally collabed with KSI on the video, and I was like, see, I don't sound like him. But then again, I also helped write his bit, and then people were like, oh, I see where the comparisons lie.
I believe you're a connoisseur of the RPG Maker game, and recently I've been a little more into them with all the remakes and stuff coming out. So I'm sure everyone's dying to know, what are your favorites and least favorite RPG Maker game? It could be for any reason. It doesn't have to be just gameplay, but
I was gonna say favorite. I can tell you that instantly. I've got
might have a guess.
I've got two of them. One of them is The Witch's House, and the other one's Cat in the Box.
Oh, those are good choices, but it's not what I was expecting.
Well, what were you expecting?
I think you know what it's Corpse Party. I mean,
yeah, okay, Corpse Party. I would say, Corpse Party. The reason why I wasn't going to classify as RPG Maker because the original was, but the newer ones are elevated versions of it. I think the Corpse Party is up there. Like I'd say, the reason why I say Cat in the Box and with The Witch's House, I'd put Corpse Party there. It's just I feel like Corpse Party. As a franchise, I really like it, but Blood Drive really soured me on the franchise.
After the first one, I'm kind of like, I never played anything after the first one. I mean,
that is exactly the thing. Yeah, that's exactly the thing. Yeah, I feel like it's a suffering from success because the first one was so good. So they were like, let's continue the story. Like I remember initially when I first played the game, and then you got all the endings of the original game. I was like, wow, tragic ending for all the characters. They managed to make it out but not unscathed, and people the people who died in Heavenly Host get like erased from existence. That's a tragic ending. That's really, really good. And then they made a sequel, and I was like, is this a
I'll
sequel?
do all of it.
I mean, the thing is, when I saw it, they made another game, and I was like, with the same characters, I was like, is this how are they going to pull off a continuation? And then a good 60-70% of the game wasn't even a sequel. It was like alternate universe. It was set at the same time as the game. The only thing that took place after was the final chapter, which took me ages to get to initially because I didn't have the save from the original game. So I had to get, I think I said in the video, you have to get 33 endings. It's 33 endings.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
So, like 33 endings, and several hours later, I'm finally at the final chapter, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. So how are they going to do it? And they instantly go to like we're going to bring them back. It wasn't even like, they didn't even, apart from the opening cutscene, they don't even do anything about like how the other characters deal with their friends being erased from existence. Like they only have the scene in the beginning with Naomi. And I was like, this would have been such a good thing to spend an entire game milling over. Like, imagine a whole game of them trying to cope with the fact that their friends don't exist, and they have to try and continue living their life with that knowledge that no one else remembers their friends except from them. I thought the whole game was going to be about that. And then the final chapter drops, and then it's like, we're gonna go back in time. We're gonna go find a
That's
secret
right.
book.
We're going back in time to stop Heavenly Host.
It's like we're gonna go get that book, and we're gonna bring them back from the dead. And I was like, I remember initially playing it, and I was like, oh, okay then. Like I was on board with it, and then they when the ritual failed, I was like, yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen. And then the way it went from 0 to 100 in the space of 5 minutes, where it was like, oh yeah, they failed the ritual, and now Ayumi's getting stabbed by a million blades and everything. Then Naomi sets the thing on fire. The book is like, you're gonna die. And then suddenly Ayumi's sister comes out of nowhere and is like, oh yeah, so I sensed something was wrong, so I got over here. And then she rescues it, and then she gets she gets beheaded at the end of the game, and then the game just ends. Like, I remember I thought there'd be another chapter, but the fact that it goes into the game's credits, and I was like, you're joking. Like, what? I spent all this time, 20 hours, and it ends there. I was so upset. So when Blood Drive, well, to be fair, the Corpse Party 2U came out after that, but then I was like, that wasn't really released in Western countries. It was a Japan only release. So the next game was Blood Drive, and I remember I think I knew I was in for the longest game of my life when it literally started. Instead of the RPG Maker style that they had, it just went for chibi models.
Was that the 3D one? Like the weird,
Yep. Like the very first cutscene showing like the 3D characters, I was just like, it's those ones where you literally just lean back in your chair and you're like,
3D
no. And the thing is, this is on the PS Vita at the time as well. So the PS Vita ran like absolute shit. Like
you kind of got to go out of your way to play that, because like the Vita wasn't really popular.
You really had to. It wasn't. I think the PS Vita is the biggest example of wasted potential. It could have been Sony's rival to the Switch if they didn't fumble. I still maintain that. But like, I remember, like, I didn't even mention this. There's so many things in the Corpse Party video that I didn't mention that I really wanted to, but at the time I was like, oh, the video's too long, I'm not gonna mention it. Which is really funny knowing about what I was gonna make afterwards. But like, at the time I was going to mention that the infinite battery mode on Corpse Party is really bad on the PS Vita, because if you have the flashlight on, it lags it to like 10 frames per second. I didn't mention it.
That's game design right there.
Yeah, like I should have mentioned it because it was such a big issue. Like I remember watching a playthrough of it after the fact, and I was like, how the fuck did we manage to deal with this at the time? Like, it was so laggy. You couldn't even run anywhere, and it looked so bad. And it was like, that's only, I think, because of what I had to deal with Blood Drive and like Book of Shadow. I think Book of Shadow was more visual novels and everything. Like, I'd put Corpse Party up there, but I'd say Cat in the Box and The Witch's House are probably where it's at for me. I feel like Corpse Party itself, really enjoyed it. Like, I think it's like, if I was gonna put like, I tend to not put like a leaderboard of like my favorite games, because I always never really liked the whole thing of what's your one favorite thing. Like, there's only things I can classify as my favorite. Yeah. It's really hard. It's really hard, because the thing is, it's also because since the whole internet is all based on hyperbole, everyone, when you say something is like your favorite, people look at all the other stuff and be like, oh, you must have get shit then. You hate it. And I'm like, no, I like it. I just think this was my favorite. It was when people were giving me shit because of what I said in the Corpse Party video, where I said the original Corpse Party is up there with some of the best, like with some of the best with regards to gory horror. And I was like, yeah, I stand on business with that statement. And people were like, wow, this is such a delusional statement, putting that with The Witch's House and Cats in the Box and the original Resident Evil and not even Resident Evil 2. It's such an annoying video. And I was like, but I said one of the best, and I didn't even say it was the best. I didn't even say these four were the best. I said it was among them.
Favorite game.
I don't know. It's like the internet's so based on hyperbole that if I say anything's my favorite, people will immediately assume that anything that isn't my favorite is a pile of horse shit. And I'm like, no. So yeah, with that in mind, that's why I'd say Witch's House, Cat in the Box are there, but Corpse Party is probably, I'd say if I was forced at gunpoint to put it on like a quick top 3, it would be like Witch's House, then Cat in the Box, then Corpse Party. Yeah. I'd say The Witch's House is just next level for like me. I remember the first time I played that game.
That's what I still have to play.
The first time I played that game, I'm not going to spoil it unless you know what happened.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. I've kept myself blind on it on purpose because I'll play it one day. It's been on my list for so long.
In that case, I will not mention The Witch's House because I remember the first time I played that, and like when you like the manga and the web stories that were made afterwards, which is a prequel to the events, it will give more explanation. So I'd suggest not looking at those first. Like, it'll be better to look at that after you play the game. But all I'm saying is the first time, I think that game close to like, I want to say changed my life, but I think that was when I realized that, you know, I really, really like horror games. Like, I really like RPG Maker horror games. I think it was the 1-2 punch of that and Ebe at the time when there was original, like that and Ebe, and to a lesser extent, Aoni. Like like I think in terms of like those games, the wave of VG person translating all of those games in like 2011 and 2012, I was like, this is what I wanna be doing. Like, this is the kind of stuff I'd really wanna enjoy making content around. Like, maybe one day I'll make my own RPG Maker horror game, that kind of stuff. So I'd say that and Cat in the Box. I think Cat in the Box was like, people ask me what's one of my favorite playthroughs on my second channel or streams in general. I say Cat in the Box is one of them. That game was crazy good. Like,
I don't think I ever finished it, but I remember playing it like a while ago.
Absolutely, I'd say
I remember enjoying it.
I don't think I've seen a developer cook that hard with RPG Maker as a constraint, because like it had events that randomly show up when you start the game. It even had stuff like it had DDLC level events that fuck with the game, and I was like,
yeah,
oh
I
my
love that
God,
kind of stuff.
this must have been insane to do. Like, I'd say it's like when people ask me my favorite genre of horror, and I'm like, bro, meta horror is my kink, bro. I love games that games that break the fourth wall. I'm not sugarcoating it. Games that break the fourth wall like that get me rock hard.
One of my favorite horror games of all time is still I'm Scared. Because not only was it one of the first like ones to do it so right, but it's still a solid horror game. It's a solid
horror game, yeah.
It's when they do the meta horror in a way that makes sense in a way to the story, because there's so many games out there.
Yeah, there's so many games that also just do it.
Especially, I don't know if you've ever played an EXE game before, but they just love to throw that shit in sometimes.
Yeah,
no reason.
that's why I don't play those games. I think the only time with the exception of when I had a stream, like I played the original Sonic.exe, which obviously is a pile of horse shit.
I remember
and
that.
Then I played EYX that same stream just to see how the fan base have taken the concept. And I'm like, when I played EYX, I was like, where the fuck were you guys 10 years ago? Like, no, I'm so glad that people, like, I think the one thing I'm glad at is that, you know, these people that are growing up with the games like I'm Scared and stuff like that, they're doing their own interpretation of it. Because I've said, like, with regards to, like, but even stuff like Cat in the Box, it's like, I always wonder, how the fuck do they do that? Like, with RPG Maker games like that, how the fuck do you do that? It's like, I'd say, if we're gonna go back to the RPG Maker thing, it always makes me really, really like happy when people utilize the engine in ways that I would never expect. Yeah. Like what the fuck do you mean you programmed an entire like different, like I can't remember what game it was, but I remember it started RPG Maker like, but then it switched to full on like controlling with KBM with a full 3D view, and I was wondering how the fuck did they do that? Like, I can't remember what game it was. I really need to remember what it was.
I'm gonna say a name here, and I've purposely gone out of my way because I had a whole long video planned on this game and I scrapped it for reasons. Was it called Fremdganger?
I think it was.
Okay. Oh boy, I have some thoughts on that game. Fremdganger. Do you know what's wrong with that game? I'm curious.
Not actually to, like, I'd say with that game in particular, I didn't really, like, when I initially played it, I remember just, like, it kind of went in through one ear and out the other. Have you ever had those moments where you play a game and then immediately after you finish playing it, you're like, huh. Like, you're just like, huh. And then you forget about it, yeah.
I really liked the concepts it went to. Its whole thing was meta horror, and like the whole thing was crazy. There was multiple different game modes, or like versions of the game. Like the initial was like this first person, like turning around this environment, and there's a typical RPG Maker, and then it was like just a regular RPG, and then it was like a clicker game, and then it was like an action game, and it was great. I was playing through it. I played the entire thing through, and I noticed a few things, but I kind of ignored it because I thought it was just a 1 or 2 time deal. And then I wrote a whole 20-something page script. This is going to be a long-ass video, like almost an hour, right? Yeah. Because I was so excited to talk about this lesser-known RPG game that is, like, people need to know about this.
Yeah, I do all the time.
I'm reviewing the footage and writing part of my script where I need to put a disclaimer for something. And I'm noticing it throughout the entire game. So there is one background in the game. I look at it and I'm like, oh, this looks a little weird. I'm like, shit, that's AI art, isn't it? And
yep.
I was like, okay, they used AI for like one background. I'll just like say like, hey, I don't support this. I think should have done it. But then I start looking even more into the game, and I start being more critical. And everything I'm starting to notice so much about it, and all of it looks like AI, including the main villain of the game. Like every single image, I'm like, okay, well, what the hell do I do? So I start investigating, trying to see like, did they at least credit it? Every single piece of art that I thought was AI, no credits in the credits, and I couldn't like look into the developers like socials because like they were fairly like not known, and neither was the game. Had like 3 reviews on Steam. I'm like, okay, shit, how do I want to go about this? Because even if I say that I don't like this because of that, people are gonna go and give them money, right?
Yeah,
like even talking about this now, I've been afraid to talk about it, but you know what it is, so I'm a little more willing to.
So
I've avoided using its name because like even bad publicity, I don't want to give it, because overall the game wasn't bad, but you really shot yourself in the foot like that because you're an artist too. You put your own art into the game. Why would you do that?
I guess it's like cutting corners because I think a lot of people are under the misconception that game development is easy. It is not, and it's because I think. It's also an ADHD kind of thing, I think, as well, because when you're not immediately good at something or you don't immediately get results, people start to tilt. I know because I'm that kind of person, like where it's like when I'm making a video, see, I've taught myself patience when editing a video. So it's like I don't expect a full-on masterpiece instantly. Like my FNAF video started production. Well, the visuals of the FNAF video, like, so I mean purely the visuals started production in December of 2022, and I didn't finish the visuals for part 1 until March 2023. So it's like it takes months, and people forget that. So I feel like that's why I was even though I get upset a bit that people cut corners, I don't get too miffed about it, because I'm like, yeah, I see. I tend to play devil's advocate a lot about that. But if we're talking about least favorite RPG maker, like horror games in general and franchises and stuff, look no further than Ao Oni. Like,
oh really?
I Ao Oni as a franchise.
As a franchise, crazy. Yeah.
Like the original game that everyone knows, because people forget that the original game actually isn't actually the original game. It's like version 6 of the original game. So it's
the original game looked rough. That's not really the bad part about it.
The original game looked rough and had a completely different plot as well. People forget that Ao Oni. Yeah, so Ao Oni is a very interesting specimen, because the actual the version that everyone knows, that is like that everyone played, is version 6, I believe, of the game. Version 6 is the one that has the ending of, like, you know, everyone except Hiroshi like ended not making it and turning into Onis. The other versions of the game are actually pretty extensive, and I think the previous version even had like different people survive. The reason why the previous versions never really made it outside of Japan is that I believe one of them, bless you, one of them had a puzzle. Like Ao Oni is very much based on its puzzles, and one of them had a puzzle that was impossible to solve if you weren't local. Like if you weren't Japanese, you wouldn't be able to beat the game without Googling the solution. Yeah, I need to make sure I'm not talking shit, but I know it was either version 4 or version 5. People in the comments might correct me on that, but there was a version that had a different ending, and it was impossible to play unless you were Japanese, because one of the puzzles was so, like, it's based on the fact that you needed to be Japanese to know it.
Oh.
Like Ao Oni, like the version of Ao Oni that everyone knows is version 6. But the crazy thing is that I think No Prop sold the franchise really early on, which is why they were constantly making sequels and remakes and remasters and adaptations, especially the adaptations and everything, like the movies.
You ever watch the movies?
I watched one of them because they were on Netflix. They're really something else.
It was the night I actually played Ao Oni. It was like until like 5 or 6. My camera died. No! Eternal temperature too high. Alright, I'm switching to my webcam, I guess. I still haven't played the Ao Oni remake yet.
Ao Oni. It's not Ao.
Owl.
I think the thing is that because ours, I'm pretty sure ours are a color, because Ao Oni literally translates to blue demon or blue ogre. So it's like when I remember the big issue, a lot of YouTubers did this. I think I made a joke about it on the second channel video saying a lot of YouTubers back in the day didn't know that it was like a Japanese like word. So they used to go like Ayo Oni, and it's really funny to me like watching the video back when you're like, welcome back to Ayo Oni.
I knew Oni was like a Japanese word, but I didn't know Ao.
Yeah, Ao Oni, because I was gonna. It's like when back in the day I used to get like spelt incorrectly because I thought that it was a lowercase L. So I was like, why are they playing a game called Pound? I remember looking at it like when I was younger and watching like a Markiplier video, and I'm like, is the game called Pound? So I was like Googling the game for myself, and I was like, why am I not finding results? Like I was like, Markiplier LB, and I'm like, why?
Hello and welcome back to Pound. Today we're gonna
like, hello everybody, my name is Markiplier, and welcome to Let's Play Pound. And I'm like, oh.
it could be worse. They could have been calling it like LB or something like that.
I mean, at first I was like, what? I was like, such a stupid name. Why are you calling it Lub? Like, who the fuck calls their child Lub? But yeah, I'd say also on least favorite. This one's actually gonna be, I don't know whether there's a hot take on that, considering I did play on my second channel, but I didn't like the Crooked Man.
I think I played the Crooked Man. Was that the one where like you went in, you like saved the girl in the school or something like that?
Yeah, saving the girl in the school and
yeah,
stuff.
okay,
and
maybe
like
I did play
and
that.
everything.
That was a good baseline one, I think. It wasn't great, it wasn't bad, just like, yeah, you play it and you're like, yeah, that was an RPG Maker horror game.
I thought it was ridiculously boring. Like, I remember when I initially played it, I actually genuinely had to fight myself from falling asleep. I don't know. See, back then, I didn't have a VTuber, so you couldn't tell, but I was trying so hard not to fall asleep when I
like the eyes like flickering in and out of the mouth.
Yeah, no, legitimately, because the problem is that it was like the game's set pieces were all giant mansions or schools with multiple empty rooms with nothing in them, and you had to find the one room that advances the plot.
Okay, that sounds familiar
wasn't
now.
Even scary. The Crooked Man itself wasn't even scary. I mean, initially you'd be like, I mean, the whole concept is pretty there. It's like, it's a Crooked Man. Yeah. But the thing is, also the main character could fight him as well, which is what I appreciated.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was just like, the game was really, really boring. Like, I was invested in the story, but to get between each set piece, it was just like, oh my god, okay, this room, maybe this room, maybe this room has something in it. Oh wait, there's a sparkling thing in the room. Oh, it's a note. It's a note. And you have to go back.
Listen, I don't know. Maybe it's just like a pet peeve. It's like a personal thing, but like, I think it's very prominent in RPG Maker horror games too, but just only finding like nothing but notes, and then like that's the only way you solve puzzle stuff. Like that's the one thing I hate that like RPG Maker, like popular ones have started.
They do it all the time. It's always like you go there and you're like, oh my god, finally something that can advance the plot. It's a note, and the note is just like, I really miss.
No way! Oh, this dead kid sat at this desk once like 10,000 years ago. Oh my god, I'm saving this.
Yeah, I'd also say one that's actually a cross between most and least favorites, Misa. Because like I'd say Misa,
I was just about to bring that one up. That's the most love-hate relationship I have.
I have such a love
the mechanic. I made my own RPG Maker game with my friend back when I was like 14, and the main mechanic behind it, where like you could die at anything at any time, anywhere, was inspired by that. I think that's a great mechanic.
I think that and The Witch's House probably are tied with like the most ways you could die. Like,
have you ever played Mario in the Music Box?
No, actually, actually, funnily enough, the reason why I didn't play it is because I'm aware of it, but I didn't play it because I have this philosophy that if I get loads of people asking me to play the game, that's going to be a recipe for disaster because they're going to be backseating.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but
it's probably one of the most requested games I haven't played yet.
No way, really?
On stream. Yeah, because people are like, how have you not played it? It's like an iconic game. I even get it on my main channel.
That was my issue with Shipwreck 64. That was like one of my most requested things. And Squeaks, I just talked to Squeaks. That guy is chill.
Yeah, Squeaks
but
is awesome,
when I streamed that, so many people were in my chat. I barely streamed too. So many people in my chat were like, go here, go here, go here, go here.
Oh, that's
and
why
it got to a point I was like, dude, just please let me be stupid at this game. Like let me do my thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's I had that with that's exactly why. So like I remember when I made a tier list of like the 99 indie horror games tier list back in like a year ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember having Shipwrecked on it, and Squeaks came in into chat and just went like, oh, don't do it yet, the game's not out. I made sure to record the game instead of stream it.
That's smart. Yeah.
I made sure to record it because if you record it, you're not going to get people in chat being like, do this. That's why I'm so grateful I also didn't stream Kinito Pet either. Like, I streamed that before. I'm glad that I caught it before it blew up.
Me too. Like, that was like just a coincidence. I saw one comment before like the floods of them I got to play the game like a week later. And I was like, what the hell is Kinito Pat? I look it up, I'm like, oh my god, this is like Bonzi Buddy inspired, which, hold on one second. Anyways,
yes, I can see the camera.
Yeah, but you know like a Bonzi Buddy kind of inspiration behind it, right?
Yes, I do. Plugged it in. Oh!
Alright, let me explain. I have a lot of
explain.
tattoos. It's no real secret, right? This is a free zone, by the way.
Alright, do you have a big eagle tattoo on your back?
Oh well, no. I can't show that one. That's for the members only.
Fair enough.
But ever since, I don't know how, I think it was Varg Skeletor Joel got me like a weird hyperfixation on Bonzi Buddy since I was like 12. And ever since then, I told myself I was gonna get a Bonzi Buddy tattoo. And over the summer, I was really thinking, I was like, I'm gonna get another tattoo. I got an appointment set up, and I want something nobody else has. Something so like obscure and dumb, but like I understand it and I think it's cool.
So you're like Bonzi Buddy.
And I made a joke in one of my videos, like I will be the first human with a Bonzi Buddy tattoo, and I was like, okay. Even my tattoo artist was laughing about how dumb it was, but he's like, this is why I'm a tattoo artist, to do stuff like this.
Oh
like,
my god. Yeah. You know what would be really funny though? Imagine if you weren't even the first and someone just went in like your DMs and be like, I beat you to it.
Before I did it, I made like a tweet about it, and someone was like, I'm gonna go get it done first. I was like, I will never forgive you. I will never forgive you.
Like, imagine they'd be there and they just send you like an Instagram story being like, oh, look at this. Look at this. Yeah, that's right.
I would cry. I would just be like devastated. I have like a little portrait of like my Bonzi Buddy tattoo. And be like... But anyways.
Yeah. I was going to mention about Kinito Pet. I think the thing about Kinito Pet, I remember the first thing I ever saw was I think it had just released. Like, it literally had just released, and I was like, this looks interesting. Like, because I really like meta horror games. I try and keep an eye on them. There's one, I think with meta horror games in general, Kinito Pet is up there. I think what I really appreciated is that it fucked with both monitors. It wasn't the thing that won.
It was the first time I've ever seen that. It said, look on your second monitor.
That's probably one of the first, I think that's probably one of the first times in years that I genuinely got freaked the fuck out by something the game did. Like, I was like, oh yeah, show my address. Who cares? I know my own address. Or like, show my camera. Windows didn't even have the webcam working because I was streaming at the time. I was like, yeah, all of that. Yeah, I don't care. But during that segment, when it had the whispering voice, I was like, oh, I've heard it. Like, yawn. I've seen this so many times. Then the first thing I clocked was the game showing that Steam had opened something else. Because when you open a game on Steam, obviously it has the Steam thing on the bottom right saying like open the Steam overlay. When that happens, that means something else is open, like an executable has just gotten through. Then I looked at my other monitor and I saw the face on the screen while I was streaming OBS, and I literally was just like, whoa! Where did that come from? I wasn't expecting it.
One of my favorite parts is when it moved my mouse and wrote for me in like an actual
that one. Yeah, that one, I actually appreciated that as well. Like, I remember literally just doing, like, the unfriended where it's like, hands up, who's doing this? And then it was like, and then I had to prove as well. I literally was like, let me get my VTuber hands up so that people know that I'm not writing this.
So...
Like, I always wondered to this day, I was like, how the fuck did Troy do that?
I talked with Troy a couple months ago. Do you want to hear one of, like, the craziest things he had to cut from the game? I brought this up with Squeaks, too, but... So he was like telling me about how he uses Godot for this, right?
Yeah.
Which apparently could do an insane amount.
Yeah, it could do so much.
And he was talking about like how if you give like Windows the ability to it, even without administrative access, Windows could do insane things.
Oh yeah, I know. I've seen like admin. Yeah, I've seen that.
He had to scrap a feature. Well, he wanted to scrap a feature because when he did it, he was like, okay, this is a little too far. But what it would do is because of like the data within your computer with like location, it can hold up like a maps and see where you're at. So he scrapped a feature where it would take a picture of your house based on location and put it on your screen.
Wait,
like, oh my god.
I swear it does that already because it makes it search for your address and
Well,
it
it
opens
does
your browser
that,
to
but
do
it
so.
actually like went through your like in the program, went to your location, found you through like Google Maps or something like that, found the picture of like your house on Google Maps and puts it up there. The reason it might come up with like a picture of your house or something is because when you look up where's my location, it pulls up like Google Maps or something like on the sidebar. I just had it say my city when that happened.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Fun fact about that. I didn't realize this, but if you open maps.google.com right now, it zeroes in on your location by default.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Lovely.
like I didn't really. I was like, that was close. I remember. So I think if you have it enabled or you have it set onto your phone, when I opened maps.google.com,
Oh,
I looked at it.
That's
I
my
was like,
college right there. Awesome. Why does it say
Yeah.
I'm in the river? What?
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
maybe it doesn't have my exact location.
yeah. So maps.google.com for me, when I go onto it, it will zero in on the very middle. And I remember zooming right in and I was like, oh my God, that's like 50 meters away from my actual household. And I was like, oh, have you played? I out of interest, I know we've like kind of. No, I was gonna say we've moved we've moved that lightning speed from RPG Maker and stuff. But I wanted to mention something. Have you ever played 98XX?
Oh yes, I have. I like it, but
I
I
have takes
don't
about the game
like
because Jackson.
it.
I've given because Jackson himself has shown up in my chat several times. I've talked to him and given him advice about the game. I like it. I think the issue that I have though is that it has good ideas. I feel like I'm assuming that Jackson is young as well because I feel like some of the stuff there, like some of the scares, it would be better if it had like stronger art direction because I remember there was one of the jump scares in the game. It would get me if it was more well done. Like one of the scares showed like a depiction of what happened to people who played one of the games where they get sucked into the PC and everything. The only problem with that jump scare was that it was drawn in MS Paint with stickmen and everything. It was the kind of stuff like a 3-year-old would draw, and I was like, it would be really scary, but I really wish Jackson, like, the one thing I would wish is something that I said for the future, like with a stronger art direction or getting an artist to do it for you,
exactly.
that scare would be so well done. Like I think 98XX actually does something similar to Kinito Pet where it will search for your IP address. I think on the full version of the game, I think there was one scare. I didn't do this mainly because of the fact that when I streamed 98XX, I didn't record it, so I didn't go for that scare. But it closes the game, but not really. Like the game is still open, but it closes the game window, and then it will move your mouse to the search, and it will search Google what is my IP address, and it will open a bunch. What it does is that it opens a bunch of tabs. Like it's programmed to open tabs saying what's my IP address, then it will say stuff about I think it was Jumping Julian, and then it will open 6 tabs saying die.
Oh wait, no, I remember that.
Yeah. I think I remember it was shades of I don't know whether you've heard of this game, but have you heard of a game back in 2012 called I See You?
Yes.
I remember how at the end of that game, when you get jump scared by that eye, it opens up the tumbler that has "I see you" and it says "I found you" and it opens 10 times.
So it's been a while since I watched that.
Like I actually replayed that recently because what I used to do was I actually went on Game Jolt and I searched for games in 2012, like games that YouTubers used to play, just to see if they aged well. 9 times out of 10 they didn't, but the ones that did, it was like the ones that did. I remember playing them and being like, wow. Holy shit. So I don't know, meta horror games have been like something that I've always been interested in. I think one of my most iconic playthroughs people have said is A Dark Place playthrough. Because
that's another game I've got some thoughts about. I did a whole video on that one too.
Actually, my the dev himself commented on my second channel video saying that he did Zer Studios. He said A Dark Place was one of his first games and he's not really proud of it. Like he wanted to put the stuff he learned into A Dark Place 2 because I think A Dark Place 1, it's got a special place in my heart. There's something really comfy about. I think the thing about the game, it's so weird. People are gonna call me a weirdo for describing a horror game that does that like this, but it's weirdly comfy. Like
no,
I could just
it's charming. It's got charm.
the soundtrack to the game made by him himself, like with the piano and everything
Yeah,
while you're
yeah.
playing the game. Like I was always frustrated about like the level design being like go down. Like you could tell the level design was Babby's first Unity thing, but like the level design was so charming. Like you just go, there was a train with the face on it, and it had all this kind of stuff. I don't know. It was like such a little adorable guy and everything. I could never get scared of it.
I think my issues with the game came down to more towards the end of it, because it felt like it just like everything. So first of all, the ending itself, like it felt like he just ran out of ideas almost.
He did.
Especially
Like,
with
you
like
can tell.
the ending, both of the endings. One of which I think I made a joke in my video. He becomes strangely chill with you all of a sudden. He's just like, oh, ha ha ha. Like, it's almost comical. It's like it's making fun of itself. It's like, ha,
you mean
I've reversed your cursor now. What are you going to do about that? It's like,
yeah,
oh, ha,
like,
I've trapped
reversed
you
your
in
cursor,
Unity.
and now your
Like,
keyboard. Now we're going to delete your hard drive data.
And then there's like a 3-minute just like of him using Unity. I'm like, okay, this is like, this
That-
takes
I
me out of
remember
it.
I remember
Like, it's
seeing
a
that, and I was like,
it's a cool idea on paper, but like it doesn't work. I really like the earlier ideas. The fourth wall breaks, like it wasn't the first I'd ever seen it, but some of the things it does, like it pretends to be like a rat virus and it changes your wallpaper and stuff. That was some of the first I'd seen some of that stuff done, and that was really cool.
Yes, I think
but
at
once
the time it was revolutionary.
Yeah, once it starts to get towards the end, a lot of the areas feel very samey. They feel very like the same, and I feel like that's a problem with just like the assets and stuff you use were all like the exact same for each area almost. I really liked the real world where it's all like meaty and rainbow and stuff.
Yeah, the
But
meaty stuff,
then it's just like the same designs over and over. And like I said, both the endings were just, they left so much to be desired.
Yeah,
like they were
that's
just,
why I didn't
they just
like
felt
about
like
the endings.
it just died. That's why I love I'm Scared. I'm Scared's ending was
I'm Scared. I think I'm Scared
perfect.
ending was really,
oh
really
my
good.
God.
However,
where it keeps closing your game. It's, oh my God.
I will say the one thing about before I go back, because I have a take on Dark Place as well, but the one thing about I'm Scared that I didn't like though was to get to the ending. I remember the first time I played it, and everyone was wondering why I never put I'm Scared on S tier. Everyone was like, I'm Scared's an S tier game, why didn't I put it on S tier? And I said it was one simple reason. The requirements to get the actual ending of the game, making you play the whole thing again to get every achievement before you unlock that door. I was like,
it's a little
brother.
confusing too if you A, haven't watched someone play it or have played it before, or B, honestly, when I was doing my video on it, there's one or two things I just looked up because I was like,
you were like one of the knocking on heaven's door, like one of the ones where you have to go to a corner of the room to look through a crevice and look through it for about 6 seconds, and you're like,
or the what was it, like the grocery store part?
We
had to like slide stuff on the doors, like
I
didn't know how to do that.
Yeah, you had to close the game and open it, and literally I remember getting Steam messages from about 5 people saying, why are you constantly closing and reopening this game? And I'm
that
like,
happened with me too.
Like I remember
stop.
that's why I'm on like invisible when I play games like that, because it's so annoying when you just get
I didn't know
messages.
about it at that time, but I remember my friend messaging was like, dude, please stop. I was like, I can't, I'm playing
I can't, it's the game. It's literally the game making me do this. It's like I'm scared. The only reason why I didn't make it S tier because of the grocery store section and all the achievements thing. Everything else was a perfect game for me. But yeah, with the ending, it's with A Dark Place. I think the issue that I have with A Dark Place was that it was also the game's, like, the fatigue of the game settling in, because once you get the first few virus stuff happening, like it basically is a virus on your PC. Like I even played the stream friendly version, because the one that's not stream friendly will literally turn off your computer and restart it and stuff. And I remember at the time it was like, oh my god, the game's doing this. But then like the further into the game you go, like that whole ending with the skull showing up saying, look at, like, whoa, I'm taking control of your keyboard and I'm going to delete the stuff from your hard drive. And then all of a sudden it's like, no. And he's like, no, it's literally, I love how it's literally such a cartoon villain, because once he starts getting deleted, he's just like, he's literally just like, no, I must continue. And then I think they changed, I think the version that I played, they actually changed the ending. Like I believe the version was like a remaster, a slight remaster, and the ending was even worse than that, because it literally was like an ending of, you know, the movie The Devil Inside, where it literally ends with a link to a page. It literally did that. When the game ended, it links you to a Weebly page that is half dead. Like, I think what I really appreciated about A Dark Place though was stuff like one of the things it did was that you needed to get a code by emailing something in the game, and then you had to actually go to Gmail, email the that thing, and it will send an automated email back with the key. I really like that, and I'm like, I really wish more games could, like, I think the issue is that you can have the programming knowledge, but a lot of people don't have the programming knowledge and the writing knowledge to get a narrative going with that, because it's very difficult to do both.
Neopet did something similar where there's a part where you could put your email into like the information, and if you do that, it sends an email to them being like, oh, welcome to the club, and it's like an actual email. I'm like, okay, that's really cool.
That's really
it's not,
cool.
Like, necessary to the game, but like helps you like immerse in this world. But
yeah, that's why I really like. That's why I'm scared. I think in terms of the story, that's why I'm scared. It's just really, really good, because the narrative is really good, just about her and about like like Whiteface and everything, and how they want. It's like a simple thing, because the thing is, it's kind of like people ask about the inspirations of like this character, like myself right here, and I'm like, yeah, no, all these kind of games, like being a computer virus and everything, it's really it's really interesting to me. I don't know, it's like I really like meta horror games like that, and that's why I appreciate when games do that. It's just, you know, it's difficult to do that and have a good narrative at the same time.
Yeah. So, kind of going back to, like, your content and stuff, you got any future projects you want to talk a little bit about? I know specifically FNAF Part 2 is set for fall. You don't have to, like, talk about exactly what's about, but, you know, you want to share some info with the viewers.
Actually, I can, because, okay, with FNAF Part 2, is actually kind of, the reason why it's, like, it's been delayed so much was that initially, people on my Patreon would know this, but I actually wrote both parts at once. I pulled a Avengers Endgame thing, and wrote both. The script for FNAF, I can say the script for FNAF is 82 pages. It's 82 pages. It took me about a year to write. I think, yeah, so I started writing it. In fact, I can even say about how it started. So the idea for me making this video started after playing Security Breach. It was like, I played Security Breach day one. I think it was like famously a 10-hour stream where I played through 95% of the game the day it came out, the night it came out, actually. Like literally the midnight release, I installed the game on stream and played it, and I kept playing it until I physically couldn't play it anymore, because 11 hours of that game, especially on launch day, and you know how that game was on launch day. It's not improved that much, but on launch day, it was a million times.
That's how I beat the daycare part. He got stuck on the bins, and I was like, all right, let's take my time.
I was like, oh my god. So I was wiped out by the end of it, and the chat, like literally chat forced me to go to bed. I didn't want to go to bed, but chat forced me to go to bed. I was at a state to the point where the jump scares with the like the security guard jump scares, you know, the ones where you get like hit, where you get clocked by security guard, and they just like shake you a bit, and
take a nap.
Yeah. So when I got jump scared, I think the breaking point was the DJ Music Man section, where you had to go back and forth with Chica chasing you and the map and the security thing. I remember when I got jump scared by the security guards, I literally shouted really loudly, just "fuck off!" Like I literally was just like that. It was literally got to I didn't even get scared. I literally was just like, "fuck off!"
That's the part where I stopped playing and I just watched Markiplier for the rest of it, because I was like, I just hate this. I'm done. I'm confused.
I muscled through it. I muscled through it. But yeah, that game made me so angry that I was gonna make a video just about Security Breach. But then I realized, the last time I made a Five Nights at Freddy's video was 2019, and I'm actually not even that proud of the video. Even though it was one of my most popular videos at the time, I wasn't happy with it. So I was like, let me work on a video on the whole franchise up until and including Security Breach, just so I can show how the franchise went from like the original stuff to what we're getting now. So I had the idea, and I started writing it, and then I continued writing it, and then I continued writing it, and then it kept going. Because the thing is, originally it was easy to write the first 4 games, because the first 4 games was the 2019 video, so I can literally just make an RTX version of that, but I'm going to include Chipper and Sons and also include extra stuff in between. So I was happy with that, but then it kept increasing to the point where when I initially recording the video took about 2 weeks to record the video. Like I had to I'd never recorded anything that long before. Like I basically, what I did, instead of record everything in one go, which I did on every single video, I recorded about like stints of each game, where it was like I recorded an hour from FNAFs 1 to 4, another hour or 2 from like FNAF World all the way up until Ultimate Custom Night, that kind of stuff. I basically recorded in different segments based on how long the segments were. So 1 to 4 was a segment, World was a segment, all the fan games were a segment, System Location was its own segment, and Pizzeria Sim was its own segment.
Yeah.
Then the other part was Help Wanted and Security Breach at the time of me doing it. So I recorded it, then I edited everything, and I realized, see, I could make a 6-hour video, but I don't want to, and it's going to take too long.
Yeah,
so what I ended up doing was that I split it into 2. So 3 hours was up until Ultimate Custom Night, and then so part 2 was initially just going to be Help Wanted, the movie. I'd already written the movie, by the way. So with the movie, I knew that the movie was going to be made and released by Blumhouse. So people were going to ask me, what are you going to do? The movie's out now. Like, you wrote it as if the movie's never coming out, and I was like, no, I actually wrote it at the time the movie was in production with Blumhouse, so I'd already written it about like knowing that the movie was gonna come out. I just, at the time the movie wasn't out yet, so I recommended other movies. And the thing is, I still stand by those because Willy's Wonderland is still better than the actual movie. I'm gonna say it. I'm standing on business there. But point is that I wrote that, and then at the time, Security Breach and Ruin were the latest things. And I think Ruin had been announced, and since then,
it's like Ruin's come out, Into the Pits come out, so much
Ruin's
stuff.
come out, Help Wanted 2's come out, Into the Pits come out, the movie is out with the second one in production, and yeah, it was like, shit, like I haven't even properly written like the Help Wanted 2 and the Help Wanted 2 and the Into the Pit stuff, because I want to do the part until Security Breach, because the whole video is building up to an hour and a half long takedown of Security Breach and why I think it's not a good addition to the franchise.
Yeah.
Only for Into the Pit to come out and show everyone how it's done.
Yeah.
Like, this will be, Into the Pit is literally the best FNAF. I think Into the Pit, if we're talking like purely FNAF, I think Into the Pit is generally the best FNAF game. Like,
I would say it's at least second or third best, but definitely
if we're talking about Scott game,
was the FNAF fatigue was definitely wearing me. And then Into the Pit came out while I was traveling to visit my partner, and she's like huge into FNAF, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I've played every single FNAF game that's come out since I think Ultimate Custom Night, because that's when I actually had a computer at that point. Start playing. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, because Ruin was okay. I never even touched Help Wanted to. I hated Security Breach on launch. I played a ton of it. I hated it.
I fucking hated Security Breach. I still hate it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I hated it so much that Ruin didn't even. Ruin
was better because it wasn't Security Breach.
I think Ruin pissed me off even more, because I was like, wait, so Steel Wool can do that, and they didn't.
But I played Into the Pit, and I was like, okay, where the hell was this for like the past 3 years?
Yeah, and it's like, where was this? Like, Scott, you idiot! And then I think Scott's interview with Dorka, where he was just like, yeah, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, I didn't tell them the story. I
have never felt more vindicated in my life. My video isn't even out, and I felt so vindicated. And I was like, I told you he was making it up as he went along. I told you.
Like, why did he do that? Like, what did he just do it to be funny? It's like,
I mean, at the time, Scott was getting in a lot of trouble because of him wasting his money on donating to Mitch McConnell and Trump. And I was like, see, I'm not gonna. In the video, I do talk about it, but I don't talk about the logistics behind it. I'm just like, why would you waste your money on that? That's what I say. I just say I don't go into detail about, like, you know, his political affiliations and stuff, because I'm not an expert on that, and
it gets messy.
It doesn't take an expert to figure out that's not really something you should be spending your money on. But I didn't really go into it. But yeah, point is that with part 2,
that's like when he announced his retirement, right?
Yeah, retirement.
For like 2 days.
I remember when that happened, I was like, okay, all that kind of stuff. I talk about everything. Like, people are wondering why it takes so long for me to make this video, and it's because I'm talking about everything.
Stuff keeps coming out.
Yeah, like like stuff keeps happening, but I don't like making stuff with stuff continuously happening. I make stuff with finality, which is why it's like, you know, I called it like the curse, where I'll make a video about something, then suddenly the franchise is like revived. Like make a video on Corpse Party, new Corpse Party came out this year. Make a video on Baldi's Basics after Mr. Mantell was silent for 2 years. Baldi's Basics Plus gets a massive update with a new character and everything. It's like, you know, I get cursed like that sometimes. So when I made with part 2, right now I've scheduled it for fall, but I'm gonna say right now the reason why I did it is because I was being optimistic about it. I don't think I'm gonna have that out until winter. Like I want that as a Christmas upload. Like cause like I want it as a Christmas upload because realistically it's so like this is probably the FNAF project in general is probably the biggest thing I've ever done in my life. The stuff in part 2
just by length alone. That's
I have spent a lot of money on FNAF Part 2, even with like I've been the stuff that I've done in this video is stuff that I've not really seen any other YouTuber done in terms of, because what I like to do with video essays is that I don't like sitting in front of like, you know, sitting in front of a microphone and just like making the video like that. I try and be as proactive as possible in the video. I think this one's probably my best video. Like I remember even looking back at what I wrote in the script and I was like, wow, holy shit, I'm funny. I'm not even tooting my own horn. Like I literally look back at my script and after like I think about a year of not looking at the script because I was working on the Baldi video, I looked back at what I wrote and I was like, this is going to be really funny when I edit the visuals. So, yeah, so the FNAF video is part 2 should be definitely out this year. Like everyone's been asking about when it's going to be out this year. I have been working on it on and off since the Baldi video. Like when the Baldi video was released, I finally had the time to focus on the FNAF one. But obviously with me running my other channels and making sure that there's uploads there, like all I'm saying is that it's going to be a big Q4 for Thafnine enjoyers, especially with regards to like I've got new stuff on my second channel as well. Like I think I could probably say this one now. I've got like a new style of content which is similar to my main channel but on my second as well, so that people who don't want pure gameplay on my second channel or are missing like the main channel stuff with the scripted and everything, they're gonna get that real soon. Like I'm really excited.
No, that does sound exciting because, like, I still rewatch like stuff from well, you and other creators like don't upload like as often, but it would be cool
I only
to like
have 20
have like
videos.
those smaller. Really? Oh my god.
I only have 20, yeah. But to be granted, I did
like
take
more.
about I did take down 2 of the videos, but I only have 20. People are like, it's like when people realize there's only like 15 to 20, there's like 13 to 15 episodes of Mr. Bean total.
What was I gonna say? That's the thing that kind of sucks about trying to have a consistent schedule, because I do like 2 weeks, 3 weeks at most, but then sometimes I have to like limit myself on like what I can talk about. That's why during summer is when I went like all out on long form videos, because like give myself 3 weeks, I could literally spend like 3 entire days just doing nothing but writing. Bam, like 40-page script done or something like that. But, you know, I'm here. I have another job. I have university and stuff like that. And there's something I'm like, oh, damn, like 5-hour retrospective on the Scary Maze games looking pretty good right now. But, like, damn, I don't have the time. I'm not joking. I want to do something like that one day because that'd be so goddamn funny.
I was working on, I was going to include the Scary Maze thing. So back in my most underrated video and the one that I really wish more people watch was my Flash Games video. And I actually was going to be making a video on Flash horror games. Yeah, I was going to make a whole video about Flash horror games. And like, you know, the evolution of how Flash horror games used to be a big thing like back in the day. And, you know, it was basically going to be a similar type of video to what I did with the RPG Maker one. And I think the issue is that even then, like, what I'm doing is kind of crazy because everyone says, how are you doing this with no sponsors? And I tell them the simple answer is that they're allergic to my videos. Like, I don't think I've had a single sponsor since 2019. So...
Really?
Nope. Like everyone looks at my main channel. I don't think a single main channel video has been sponsored since my Black Mirror one.
I've been getting tons of like just spam. I don't know what happened. Yeah, it was like a switch. I haven't gotten like a serious email in like a month at this point. Like even if I didn't take them, I still get like 1 or 2 where it's like, oh, like
I get quite a lot of emails and I get quite a lot of like sponsors. See, I tend to have my agents look at them because my agents are the ones that are pitching me to these companies now. But I tend to get the odd email where it's like, I'm definitely from Sony and I would like you to review our
I just got a Sony one the other day that was like,
I got 3
I'm
Sony
Sony.
ones.
The email was like at A234.
Yeah, I got that too.
Okay,
I got that too as well. I was like, huh?
It's like, I love your content about insert thing here. I've gotten stuff exactly like that before. I'm like, you're not even trying, man. Try to scam me.
I really want to respond to one of those emails saying, if you love my content so much, what did I say 60 minutes and 47 seconds into this video, huh?
I thought you were about to say, if you love my content so much, how don't you marry it?
I would do that. I would do that, but I was gonna be like, yeah, if you really appreciate this specific video that you've gone through your effort to title and everything, why don't you tell me what I said? What's the most watched moments in that video? Like, you could say it really easily, but that's basically what I have to deal with. With upcoming videos, that's what I've got. Like, Q4 is going to be really busy. In fact, I'm pretty sure you could probably mention how hard it was to get a hold of me for this. So it's like,
a little.
It was a bit different.
I mean, you're here now,
really
though,
busy.
so that's good.
Yeah, exactly. That's good.
Anyways, wrapping it up here. This has definitely been the longest episode. Not as a bad thing. I'm enjoying our conversation.
I'm enjoying it too.
Every Fearful Harmony episode, I like to ask my guest a what-if question of who would win in a fight. Custom tailored for you. So, who do you think would win? This one's so stupid. Who do you think would win in a fight? All right, so you got Baldy, but he's not bald. Any haircut you want. And he's lost his sense of smell. Versus 3 Aonis, but they're like 3 Ao-Onis. I gotta get used to that.
I was about to say
3 Ao-Onis, but like they're confused. Like they're really, really confused. Like they don't know where they are so confused. They're like, what's going on?
I'd say okay. So normally I would say Ao-Onis would get it because Ao-Onis are big blue
really
demons
confused.
and everything. They're very
confused.
The thing is, if they're really confused, Baldy, like sense of smell doesn't mean anything to Baldy because Baldy's thing is his sense of hearing.
What if he's bothered by it? What if he's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, but he wouldn't be bothered by it because the only thing he's bothered by is hearing math that bad. And if the Ao-Onis are very confused, then they're getting the math questions incorrectly. So I think Baldy would probably win. But
he's got a head of hair now.
Yeah, I know. But
his aerodynamics are off.
Yeah, those might be off, but he's got his ruler. He's got his ruler, and all he could do is literally just be like slap the ruler like a million times a second. It literally just does that. It's like I've seen like people who say Baldy wouldn't win a fight have not tried to get every answer incorrect on the Baldy patch before the first year birthday bash. Like Baldy is quick and he's scary.
You've not gotten sent to Baldy's office before. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you haven't been sent to Baldy's office before on a pre-birthday bash update because it's not possible. Baldy will kill you.
Anyways, before we wrap up here, where could people find you if they'd like to find you?
If you'd like to find me, all you gotta do is go and search up Thafnine or probably just Thaf number 9 and everything. You can find, I've got way too many channels at this point. I've got 4 channels. So, but if you somehow don't find me from any of those channels, then
link in the description.
Yeah, link in the description.
Or a tag, I don't know.
Yeah, the link in the description or the top right corner, or if the editor's gonna have visuals, just put like all the icons like all across the screen right now. It'll be really, really, really funny. They're gonna have to find all 4 of the icons. You can find me there. I'm trying not to use Twitter. I'm trying to get people on my Instagram. Like I'm trying to get people on Instagram.
I've tried using Instagram, but I'm just so locked into Twitter at this point.
Yeah, I'm so annoyed. I've had Twitter for 12 years. I've been on that shithole for 12 years. And it's like, I remember when they gave me the anniversary post and said 12 years, and I'm like, get me out of here. Get me out of here, please. I'm too addicted. To be fair, I have a different kind of addiction. Like, I don't actually look at other people's tweets. I only see my own on TweetDeck. Like, the only time I see any other person's tweets is if I have it liked onto my timeline. If it's not, then I only see myself. And like, everyone asks me, the one thing they do ask me about my Twitter is that like, why do I mute 95% of people I follow? And it's because it's like, I like a clean timeline. It's not like I don't like them. It's more like I'd rather not have a lot of stuff on my timeline.
No, that's fair. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
No problem.
You want to leave the audience with any like life-saving advice, any timeless advice even?
Any timeless advice? Probably type in Control-Shift-Alt-Windows key and L, and you will get all the advice that you need.
I don't even know what that means.
Just do it. Yeah, Control-Shift-Alt-Windows key and L.
I don't want to.
No, don't worry. Nothing's gonna happen. All I'm saying is that if you're in chat, or in the comment section down below, just put that in the put on your keyboard. If you have a Windows PC, it's gonna be really valuable.
You're held liable for anything that happens. All right, thank you everyone for watching.
No problem. See ya.